Greetings, LEGO fans, and welcome to Retro LEGO, where we revisit and rank the sets in beloved LEGO themes from the past. Today, we rocket our way right back into LEGO space with the small but mighty faction, Unitron. Introduced in 1994 and 95, these four sets are refreshingly and daringly unique, released right alongside Spyrius as the good guy foils to their sneaky villainy. Though they're far from the most prolific LEGO space faction, they might just be the coolest, as they're stylish minifigures, one-of-a-kind play features, and one of the best and most sought-after sets of all time, rounding out their short-lived stay on store shelves. Due to a number of factors, including exclusivity in North America for most of the sets, and the high initial retail prices, these sets are particularly difficult and expensive to acquire, which is why I need to thank Slegengr once again for letting me borrow, build, and handle these incredible sets for myself. So, point yourself in the right direction, and let's dive helmet first into Unitron. Taking the bottom spot is set number 1787, the Crater Cruiser. When a set like this takes last place on the list, you know you're dealing with a solid sub-theme, as this $18 offering is a remarkably solid mid-size rover vehicle. I can't quite decide if I like the three different wheel sizes stair-stepping their way up the side of this rig, but I've got to at least applaud the designer's creativity here. Its dual cockpit setup leaves plenty of room for its two operators, and the top cockpit can separate, either serving as its own small shuttle or attaching to other sets in the theme, including the monorail. Once the cockpit is deployed, it gives room for the articulating instruments of this vehicle to move freely. Whether they're scientific instruments, extra propulsion, or defensive weaponry is entirely up to you. The two pilots operating this space tank are actually the only two specifically Unitron minifigures. The first is the standard Unitron crewman, whose face might look familiar to any Space Police 2 or Explorians fans out there, among many others. I really enjoy how the yellow of his helmet and torso highlights plays off the gray, black, and blue color scheme of the ships, making Unitron one of the most aesthetically pleasing sub-themes of LEGO Space to my taste. Next, we have the Unitron Chief. Though he shares the same clothing as the crewman, his faceprint and printed helmet give him quite the boost. Though I usually associate this face with RoboForce, which came later, this was its debut, and I always loved how simply cool-looking and futuristic it is. His helmet printing gives him a real premium feeling, and launches him near the top of my own LEGO Space minifigure lineup. Don't let its spot on the list fool you. This set is pretty neat, and takes its place proudly among the many great rovers of 90s space. Coming in at number 3 is set number 1793, Space Station Xenon. Though sadly not named after the girl of the 21st century, this is the type of set that would normally be considered the flagship base of the faction. But boy, do I have some news for you down the line. Though it's not quite as disappointing as the lunar launch site from Spyrius, it's definitely not one of the stronger entries in the space base category. That said, it does have a pretty cool central play feature. Tilting these two hinged rock panels down on either side of the main canopy will allow the entire thing to swivel to whatever configuration you like. It makes me think that this canopy offers some sort of radiation protection, and thus rotates to shield the crew inside. But the use cases for this feature are as endless as your imagination. Concealed within the rock panels are these miniature launch pads for what I assume are tiny reconnaissance probes. To the side of the main build are what looks like a nice little hiding spot for whatever you can fit in there, and this giant laser cannon monstrosity thing. This behemoth looks pretty aggressive in whatever configuration you choose, and I always saw the two large dishes on either side as some sort of sonic weapon to ward off enemies. In addition to the permanent installments, we also get two small side vehicles. The first is this slick-looking rover, perfect for trucking small cargo around, along with this small and rather incomplete-looking shuttle pod. Its unfinished appearance is easily explained by the modularity of all of these sets, as this can easily dock with the other vehicles of the theme and, of course, the monorail. The base comes with 3 minifigures, and since there were only 2 Unitron figures ever introduced, we've already met them. This set may not be the most memorable base in the LEGO Space canon, but it still holds a strong place among the other Unitron sets. I'd like to give a special shout out and thanks to the members of the Brick Guild for supporting this channel. If it's within your means, consider joining for early access to new videos, member-only polls, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Otherwise, just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. The runner-up is set number 1789, Starhawk 2. Where Starhawk 1 is anybody's guess, but this spacecraft, originally retailing for $27, is a real looker. I swear, Unitron just plays perfectly into my own aesthetic taste, as the colors, shaping, and features of this set are pretty much perfect to me. The 2 large angular wings on the side give the ship a speedy, maneuverable look, and the detachable pod once again works with the monorail and the other sets in the faction. Folding down these 2 compartments on the wings gives you access to the instruments underneath, which once again can be interpreted as instruments of study or weapons of war. Though to me, the former seems more probable here. The tail in the back, which can either be used as a ramp or some sort of solar sail, tops off the ship's hawk-like appearance. Much like with the Crater Cruiser, we're treated to 1 Unitron crewman and the Chief. It looks like the crewman is performing some routine maintenance on the vessel, holding this sci-fi looking hose contraption. The Starhawk 2 is an excellent entry in the already loaded category of mid-size LEGO spaceships, and its perfect catering to my own personal taste elevates it all the more for me. And the number 1 entry should be no surprise to anyone, as it's set number 6991, the Monorail Transport Base. The only set of the 4 to be released worldwide rather than just in North America, this set was way ahead of its time in so many ways. The first way was definitely the price, as its $178 retail tag was way too much for most families to swallow, as that's nearly $400 in today's money. But let me tell you, I think this set might have just overloaded my circuits as a kid, as even as an adult, this thing gave me a giddiness I can scarcely describe. Animated by this bidirectional motor with tabs on either side to change direction, this slick vehicle zooms effortlessly between the 2 included stations. To change direction, simply spin the arrow at the station and send it off to whatever mission it's needed for next. It even spins this radar dish every time it passes through the central station. Though this little gimmick did have the tendency to get caught sometimes, so I'd often sideline it for the sake of smoothness. If all of that wasn't enough, the top of the monorail lights up, a nice cherry on top of an already quality vehicle. We'd seen monorails before with the airport shuttle and the flagship set of Futuron, but this one perfects the format by adding switch tracks to the mix. Not only do these let your monorail go off on a different path, but they automatically revert back if the train is coming in the opposite direction. When you reach the end of the line at either end, this set isn't content to just stop the train, it even drops off its shuttle pod cargo into either the pad on the top or a hefty rover vehicle on the bottom, allowing it to be transported anywhere it needs to go. The rover itself even has its own little detachable speeder. Need to switch pods from one side to the other? Well, this swiveling lift built into the central station can easily help you out with that. The stations themselves hold all the detail you'd expect if these were their own standalone sets, and it blows my mind that this much was included in a single set. And we're not even done yet, as this set includes 4 minifigures. Of course, we've already met the Chief and the 2 crewmen, but we also get the cybernetically villainous Major Kartovsky from the Spyrius gang. Let's just say I don't think he's here on a mission of peace. Guys, this set floored me, and it's one I didn't think I'd ever have the opportunity to build and play with. But let me tell you, it deserves all the hype it gets. I can't believe LEGO discontinued the monorail format after this, because it has so much untapped potential. One can only hope that it's revived at some point in the future, because getting your hands on any of the 3 existing monorail sets is no small financial feat, particularly this one. Still, this set is one of the finest I've ever had the pleasure to interact with, and it's an easy number 1 for Unitron. But what do you think of this short but endlessly memorable sub-theme? Let me know your rankings in the comments below. And to see more LEGO Space retrospectives, click on the playlist on your screen right now. And until next time, I'll see you on the rail.